Welcome back, everybody, to Two Crime Besties for episode 7. Thank you to everybody who's been listening so far. It's been great. We've had some really positive feedback, so thank you to everyone who's been listening and providing that feedback.
It's been a ride, that's for sure. Like, I think we should start sharing some of our feedback sometimes when we I haven't looked at it today, but we should do that down the track and thank those people directly on our podcast. I think because it's really great these people are getting feedback on how we're doing, and it means that we can improve what we're doing too if we're getting that kind of feedback. It's great.
More than happy for some constructive feedback
for sure.
Because we're learning as we go, and every episode we're learning something new. I guess, well, if we're doing shout outs, I'll say shout out today to my friend James, who has been so lovely in sharing our podcast on his social media and to his friends and family, and giving us some really lovely feedback. So thank you, James.
Yeah, huge thank you to James. That's awesome.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, good.
So it's absolutely freezing cold here in Melbourne at the moment, and we're at home, nice and warm, to record today.
I know, I'm loving the heater. I've got the heater down my end of our podcasting table at the moment, and I am just basking in it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm up the cooler end of the room, but that's okay. That's okay.
We need it though. I mean, God, I was just saying before we hit record today that our bloody children in this freezing cold weather at the moment, we've hit a snap cold in Melbourne of like minus temperatures overnight. It's been ridiculously cold, and our kids are still going to school in their fucking shorts.
And one of mine won't even wear a jumper. He'll wear a beanie because he thinks that's cool, but he won't wear a jumper.
I love the beanie and shorts look.
Yeah,
it's very on trend.
It's definitely a Luke.
Yeah, but it's been copied by my mini your son.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Love it. But I have to say, it must be bloody cold when my eldest has finally put on pants recently to go to school, which is just crazy. I didn't think it would happen. I thought we were never going to get there, but it's got to be cold if he's put pants on.
Absolutely.
So, but there was no way in hell I was convincing my youngest of getting any pants on.
Yeah.
Not whilst Oliver won't wear pants. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you now then, Brody will literally never wear them because I don't even own pants anymore that fit Oliver. There's no point.
Well, I just handed mine on to a friend of ours from all of Brody's ones that, look, they're probably not too small for him. He could probably wear them still, but I'm like, they're not going to get anywhere. They might as well go down to the littler Brody and get some wear out of somebody because they are brand spanking new.
Yep, and in great condition.
Yep.
Anyway, what do they say? No sense, no feeling. That sounds about right for these kids.
Yep.
Boys, hey?
Oh, boys are just fucking stupid.
Yes. What is with that?
Freezing my butt off. It's even the struggle of getting the jumper on then. Like, you'd think, okay, fine, you're not going to wear pants, but at least put a jumper on.
At least put a jumper on.
Who is wearing shorts and T-shirt in 0-degree temperatures when we're getting to school in the morning?
Oliver went to school camp this week down in Phillip Island, which is freezing cold at the best of times. And I said to him, you have to take jumpers. Even if you don't wear them, they need to be packed because I at least need to know that that's available.
There was an image put up on the school Facebook page of, celebrating the grade 4s off on camp this week. Yeah. And it was a group shot of them all. And they're all there in their beanies and coats and stuff, obviously in the cold down by the beach. And there's Oliver in the front sitting down in shorts. And it was gold. I'm just like, oh, there he is.
Yeah, very easy to spot.
Yeah. Those little white legs are sticking out. Love it. Every other kid's rugged up to the hilt.
Seriously. Anyway, all part of the fun, I guess.
Oh, it is. Yes,
yeah.
They won't die.
No,
we're not neglectful parents, I promise.
Yeah, I swear. They have available what they need. So
it's not like we don't give them what they need. Like it's their choice. It is a choice.
That's it. So what are we talking about today?
Oh my God, sorry, who am I?
Yeah,
I'm Meg. You're Emma.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So yes, Emma, let's get into this because this case is huge. Honest to God. So we're going to be talking about the staircase today. I felt like I could have researched this for months on end and still not have found all the information that was out there on this case. The rabbit holes you can go down, I've gone down enough, and I had to block myself from doing more research on this because I felt like I was actually getting the same information in different formats that was confusing me more.
Yeah.
There's certain rabbit holes you can go down to so far. that there's just too much to cover in a podcast.
Oh,
It needs a
even in a long form series, I don't think they
yes.
were able to cover
And it
everything.
never ends. Like I
It
feel like
never
you could
ends.
kind of go, you know, oh, the cases are like over and done with as it is at the moment or whatever. But there's still more to this family.
Oh, for sure. And you could do probably a whole series on each of them.
Each
Potentially.
phase of all of
Yeah.
this. It's insane how much
It
there
is
is.
insane.
So we will tackle what we can in this, I guess.
That's it.
But I wanted to also start with,
Yeah.
can we each say up front where our brains are at of like
Okay.
whether what our theory is or what we're thinking, because I want to know if by the end of it we've swayed each other any other way.
Okay.
Because I feel like people are very staunch on their opinions on this case.
Yeah.
And I'm probably in the minority in that I keep moving. I
am exactly the same. I was really hoping you'd have a really firm view on what you thought happened.
I have a firmest view.
What's that?
Okay. Hoot hoot.
we were discussing this during the week. Okay, when we're recording and researching a topic, we have a media blackout about it. I think we've mentioned that in previous podcast.
Yeah.
But Meg and I were sort of discussing this, and she goes, "I've just got 2 words to say. No, I've just got one thing to say to you." Hoot, hoot. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly where you're going with this."
So I wasn't sure if you knew that, and I'm like, I don't want to like put it out there and then like I don't know.
Yeah. It's plausible to me, that theory, and we will get to it.
Yeah.
It is what will come to be known as the owl theory, and it's an interesting one. I think on the balance of probability, though, I still am more leaning towards the fact that Michael Peterson is guilty.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because I think there are too many, and I'm not saying this is beyond a reasonable doubt. I don't think if I were a jury, I would be able to convict him because I have so many doubts.
Yeah.
However, if I'm giving an opinion and the way I'm slightly leaning, it is towards him being guilty. The fact that he's had 2 bodies at the bottom of a staircase, we will also get into that. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence that leans towards, I'm not saying it proves, but it leans towards him being guilty. I feel like if I was, gun to my head or top of the stairs being pushed down, I would say he's guilty.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's see where we end up.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, I can definitely see things from both sides. And I found, I guess it's worth mentioning that the reason this case is called The Staircase is because it was a Netflix documentary series that, I mean, even that in and of itself is so fascinating, the way it came about and how lucky those French documentarians were to stumble upon this case, him to allow them to have such access, and then for this case to take all the twists and turns that it has. I think it was only ever meant to be a 2 1-hour episodes.
Right.
And it ended up being, how many episodes was it in
13
the end? 13, yeah. So
it was over 10 hours of documentary film released. I mean, the amount of hours they would have actually filmed to get those 10 hours is ridiculous.
Worth. It was a huge amount.
Yeah.
So you think how much has been cut out as well.
Well, yes, and what has been cut out.
That's it. But I mean, if you look at it on face value, they showed everything, like as in...
Did they though?
Well, I don't know.
Because the editor on the docuseries,
I know,
was having a relationship with
and living in the house with Michael by the end. She was living with him. Yeah. So who knows? There's obviously bias there.
I think the other thing is that there's bias because the documentary crew, like the whole production, was on the defence's payroll. I mean, I know there was a reason for that in terms of them continuing to be able to film and the reason for that was the prosecution actually they wanted to use some of the footage as evidence in the trial. And the only way they could avoid using that film, that video evidence in the trial was for the defense to put them on the payroll. And therefore it became client privilege. So there's, so I think you've got to watch that documentary with a bit of a lean of like, I've got to understand that there's some bias here, in terms of how this is being presented.
And edited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. I heard an interview with the main documentarian, the main host, and he basically said, we were completely unbiased. And I see where he's coming from in that they recorded everything. They filmed everything, but they didn't release everything.
Yeah.
And I also found it interesting that he 100% believes that Michael is innocent.
Yes.
After living in the house with him, recording every minute of the lead up to the trial, everything that happened afterwards.
Yeah.
And he still thinks Michael is innocent. That's interesting. But, I mean, obviously there was money in it for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, take that as you will.
Absolutely.
When I was telling my husband, Peter, that we were doing this case as an episode, he doesn't know much about it. He hasn't watched the documentary.
Yeah.
He's not a massive true crime fan. I don't really get that, but anyway. And he's like, just give me like a brief rundown about what it's about. And I was like, oh God, where do I start? And so I was trying to just explain the core family dynamic, but you can't really explain the core family dynamic without going a few layers out.
Yep.
So let's give that a go to give a little bit of context and a little bit of an introduction to who we're going to be discussing, because there are a lot of players in this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got Michael Peterson and the victim in this case, Kathleen Peterson. Michael Peterson was originally married to a lady named Patty. Cannot wait to discuss her. Cannot wait.
Love it.
They had two sons together, Clayton and Todd. The two sons were both born in Germany. Patty was working over there as an English teacher at the military base, and Michael was in the army.
He's in the army, yeah.
Yes, right. I couldn't remember if it was the army or navy, but he was in the army. And while they were working there, they met another American couple who the wife was also a teacher with Patty, and the husband was also in the army. So this was George and Elizabeth, or Liz Ratliff. They had two daughters named Martha and Margaret, or Margaret was the eldest, I think, and Martha. And they were best friends. So Patty and Michael, George and Liz were best friends. And did everything together. Being expats in a different country, that would naturally bring you together.
You've got language being, the same. You can just communicate easily. Can totally understand. You all have very similar interests, very similar lives.
Yeah.
Lots to build friendships on.
When I was a kid, we lived in Mexico for a while, and my mum and dad, their biggest social circle was the British expats, because, same thing. You've got language in common, if nothing else, and customs, traditions, all those things that kind of fit in where you might not fit in necessarily with the culture in the same way. So I can understand that would, that they would be attracted to one another for that reason.
For sure.
But attracted seems to be the right word, because Michael and Liz had an incredibly close relationship, didn't they? Or friendship.
Yeah. And it was always so close, but were they closer after the unfortunate events of George passing away, or were they always that close, or was it his death that brought them closer?
I think the latter. Yeah. I think they were, as couples, they were close. And George died. It was tragic, but not, there was no foul play involved there.
Yeah.
And then I guess Michael stepped into that almost father-like role in their family.
Yeah. I mean, and I can understand that as a female on her own, needing that, a male to assist with things and be around in the family, and him stepping up to that role. I can respect that.
And the girls were very young.
They
were
2 and 4, I think, at the time of her death.
I think they were 1 and 2 at the time of his death.
Yeah.
So they needed a lot of care.
Yeah.
And Todd and Clayton were a fair bit older. I think they were maybe 10 years or so older than the girls. Is that right?
Oh, not quite that much.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think because how old they were during the case.
I know how old they were when this all happened.
Yeah,
so
I feel like there was maybe more like 5 years between them all.
7, yeah, between 5 and 7 years.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
So, Michael did a lot with Liz, and on the night of her death, and this really I find very interesting.
Mm.
On the night of Liz's death, Patty and Michael and Clayton and Todd had been around there for dinner, and it was time for Patty and the boys to go home, and Michael stayed.
Yes.
To help, I'm guessing, help Elizabeth put the girls to bed.
They went and took a car.
Yes.
To a mechanic to have the car service, whatever. And so I think he helped her with doing that, with taking the car to drop off.
You're absolutely right. I forgot about that. But you know what they did? They left the kids at home when they did, the little girls at home on their own.
Yeah.
When they did that.
Mm.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Just that just goes to show the mentality, like the questionable mentality of this bloke and the mother. I mean, I would never. My kids are 9 and 10. Oh God, 10 now, 10 and 7, and I would never do that.
The only thing that I can come at with, and knowing people who live in sort of more Navy but military base kind of style living, they do. I think live a little bit differently in that respect. I don't think they were
living on base.
Oh, weren't they living on base?
No.
I assume they were with the relaxed attitude to that, because I feel like, not that, I mean, it's not that relaxed, but at the same time, I know that there's a very community feel and you feel safe and secure there because there's military police, and they would leave their kids at home more likely than I would from a younger age, not saying 2 and 4. But there's kind of this attitude of like, the next door neighbours will watch my kids without me having to actually say, hey, can you watch my kids?
Right, But I'm pretty sure they weren't living on base. They were just living in the community.
Scrap that idea then. Yeah.
So anyway, they've done that. And then according to Michael, he's dropped her at home. And this was around midnight, I believe, was the last time he saw her. He's gone back to his place. And then the next morning, the nanny or housekeeper arrives at the house I think she was the nanny to look after the girls while Liz went to work. Yeah. And she discovered Liz's dead body at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah. Body number 1 at the end of the bottom of the stairs.
Lots of blood. The housekeeper, or the nanny, she sort of ran up over Liz's body like she was clearly deceased. Yeah. And ran upstairs to check on the girls. So there was some blood patterns sort of throughout the stairwell and upstairs, which is, that's a good explanation for that. It's understandable. Mm-hmm. The police were called by the nanny. Yeah. She also contacted Michael and Patty. Yeah. And they came over, and Michael actually contacted the military police.
Yes.
And they were first to arrive on scene in the end. And, things that I've heard is that, in researching all of this, is that the fact that military police showed up first possibly worked in Michael's favour.
Okay.
So they've looked at this, gone, yep, looks like a bit of an accident. She's obviously had a fall, and kind of be done with it.
Well, there was a doctor on scene as well. Yeah. Yeah. Who did a spinal tap?
Yes.
And drew his blood out. Yeah. And you can probably explain this better than I can in terms of, and saying that it was clear, or that
it was clear.
So therefore that the inference of that is that then it was a brain aneurysm, so that's created her unstableness and then the fall. Is that right?
I don't know how they could conclusively say that though, because I don't think they ever they never did a brain scan. They never scanned. She never had an MRI or anything as part of her autopsy.
Right.
At that point.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So I'm not sure that they could conclusively say that.
I think the way that was presented was as if that's pretty conclusive. Like that if that liquid was clear, then that's what.
Yeah. Look, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, right.
From what I've read, I don't know that in and of itself was enough to sort of go, yeah, everyone's in the clear. This is a completely innocent situation.
Yeah, right.
but that's the way it was presented.
Yes.
So as in that was taken as fact, and that's the way it all sort of panned out, an absolute tragedy in the family.
Yeah.
And Liz and George had said that they wanted Patty and Michael to take on the girls.
Yeah, which I mean, I find that really interesting because there is family. There was family back in the States, so that they could have taken the girls, but
And wanted to.
but that they had made that choice and put it in writing into that they wanted, if anything happens, because Liz did have a medical condition prior to her passing away. That I guess there was sort of this understanding that she could pass away young, and so that they did protect themselves in that sense to have a will and have that all written up properly. But they specifically wanted for Patty and Michael to have the girls, and more specifically Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, yeah, goes with lots of questions around that, I think, as to why they've chosen that.
What's your take on Patty, though?
She's an interesting character.
She's a really interesting character.
So, because one of the comments that one of the girls made in the docuseries that I just was like, I literally heard it and was like, wait, what? And the way she spoke was talking about Kathleen, who is his second wife, and that we're talking about today, who passed away. That she said the girl sort of said that was the first female that took us in and brushed our hair.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, hang on a second. What about Patty, who you lived with for 5 years, I think it was, before they moved?
Yeah.
At least 12 months, if not more. Is that just a memory thing? Do they just not remember her taking them in and doing things for them? Or did she not? And did Michael take these girls in and Patty was a bit more, I didn't really take this on. I've got 2 sons to take care of, 2 extra children. It's a lot for anyone to take on. And so then all of a sudden your family's doubled the number of children you have. I get that. But did she do the whole, like, they're for you to worry about, Michael, not me? And that's when Kathleen came on the scene, the girls finally had a mother figure.
And Kathleen, I think, by all accounts, saw them as her own.
Yeah.
Whereas I even at the end of the docuseries, those extra bonus episodes, and this is fast forwarding quite a long way now, but where there's a scene where it's Margaret's 30th birthday and Patty is there.
Yeah.
And she makes a toast. And I thought that was like quite distant. Like technically Patty was their first adopted mother.
Yeah.
Outside of, after her own mother died. But there's a bit of a disconnect there. Patty's got a very interesting personality.
Yeah.
Like she's very quirky.
Yeah.
I can see she's probably a bit of a free spirit, maybe.
Yeah.
She's one of those that,
yeah.
She kind of like floats with whatever's going on, but she's probably never been that stable rock, even for her sons. Yeah. And I reckon that contributes to their poor behavior. Again, we're going to get into that in a sec. Oh my God. But yeah, I think my feeling is she never really saw them as her own daughters, whereas Michael did right from the get-go.
Yeah, he definitely. So is one of them.
So they okay. So this is the thing. They reckon that
Martha,
could potentially be Michael's daughter. However, the way that they determined this was because she posted a letter to the DA. And they took the saliva from the envelope and compared that to Michael's DNA, and it was not a match.
No, but
number one, there's no chain of custody. Nobody knows who actually licked that envelope. Yeah. Could Michael have written that letter as a decoy? Could anyone have written that letter as a decoy and gotten some rando to lick the envelope?
There's no way that you could definitively say that the results of that test are going to give you an accurate response.
Yeah. A court, a court would never see that as being, something that would be admissible. And they've never done a paternity test that has been done full chain of custody or anything like that.
So there was a book written too that in the book it does state, consistently throughout the book that one of the girls was treated far better than the other. And being the fact that because one was his natural daughter and one wasn't. And there was even talk that they tried to put one of them up for adoption.
Oh, I didn't know that.
In the book, it talks about that. But then they felt guilty, the fact of splitting the girls up.
I did not know that. Yeah. Was that when they were with Kathleen?
No, that was like
Oh,
early on.
right.
Yeah, so
Okay. See,
yeah.
that to me is like a Patty thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, is that factual? I mean, this is the thing with this story. I felt like everywhere I'd get information from, I could find the opposite of that somewhere else too.
Yeah. And this is why it's so confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, if you look at the docu-series on Netflix, Martha does look more like Michael.
Her nose is like identical to his.
Identical.
But weirdly enough, when you look at photos of Liz and Kathleen, they could be sisters.
Definitely.
He's got a type.
Yeah.
Or does he? Because we're going to get into that. It's just twists and turns.
Twists and turns everywhere. They really stumbled onto a gold mine, these.
This is my thing with this whole case of, is there something here, or is this just an unfortunate series of events of people, I don't know.
But like, you think out in the community, how many people are living lives like this? Like, I think my life is so basic.
Oh, God, yeah. You're basic.
We've got nothing going on compared to all this. Like, I just can't even imagine it. And, and there must be people out there living these kinds of lives.
Yeah. Is that? Yeah. I guess there is.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But this can't be just a one-off. I mean, I'm sure they're in the minority. But anyway, so Mike is Mike. I like to call him Mike because that's how they all refer to him. It's like my mate now.
Yeah. I feel like I know him now. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a novelist and a columnist. Well, he was at the time of Kathleen's death. So he and Patty split. They decide Michael and the girls and the boys. I think the boys
just
stayed
the
back,
girls.
Didn't they?
Yeah.
Moved back to the States when Patty and Michael divorced. Not long after that, in 1986, Mike met Kathleen. Kathleen already had a daughter named Caitlin Atwater. She was still pretty young as well. And then in 1989, they moved in together. And at that point, all of the kids moved in with Mike and Kathleen. So the boys came back home from Germany, and the 5 kids and the 2 new parents all joined forces
together. And you get this whole whole idea of this Brady Bunch persona put over, and through that whole docuseries, and a lot of places you look around this, it's this glowing, that was such a happy family. It was so, idyllic. Fuck me, it was not.
That's what gets me. Don't put that across. There is no way that could be a completely harmonious situation.
That word the defense used to describe it, their marriage and their family life, as being perfect, that really then led the whole issue of the prosecution able to bring in so much evidence into the trial to really counteract that fact, because you can't say that this was an idyllic family and perfect. There was so much going on with those boys let's
get into that now.
Let's get into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Todd Clayton is the eldest, and Todd. So they're Patty and Michael's boys. I find them they're so problematic. They are so problematic, especially Clayton, especially the older one. I'm going
to call Todd.
You're going to call Todd. I just think they're all right. Go tell me your Todd stories.
Well, I haven't met, because this is one of those rabbit holes I went down that I'm like, do I want to spend a hell of a lot of time on this? So I've basic information on Todd that I immediately just went, oh God, I'm writing him off. I just can't even. Right. So Todd basically set up a particularly sketchy website. And we're talking early days of internet and website stuff. He was on this very early. So on the website was things about basically sort of trying to teach men how to be men. Let's put that in inverted commas, because there was lots of images on there of women in certain ways and talk around how to treat women, which was really derogatory. So he is very problematic and holds some very interesting opinions.
Yeah, and Clayton's not that much better. No. He went to prison himself for 4 years because he took pipe bombs to his university.
Well, not only that, but when they went and looked at the house, they found a further 6 pipe bombs fully constructed in their attic. So his defense of oh no, it was just a decoy at the university so that he could get fake ID making equipment, and that this was nothing. The bomb was just to detract people to that,
So I could, as it was a decoy.
As the decoy.
Yeah.
When you've got 6 more back at home, what are you doing with them then, mate? Like, it just blew my mind.
Postal.
But yeah, so yeah, he could have gone postal. But so he was seriously
deranged.
But not only that, so he did go to jail for that for 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
I mean, that's not a small stint in jail.
Absolutely.
And he was only young-ish, like as in he was a freshman in college, so like 19-ish.
I think he was 19. Yeah.
So he spent 4 years in jail then, and then he comes out and he's got a girlfriend who later on became his wife after this. Who there was an issue there where at first was that he hit her, but then he shoved her. And so I think the only reason there weren't charges laid were that she decided not to press charges.
Yeah.
But there were cops involved in that incident. So to me, a shove isn't going to get some cops out. A hit is more likely to get the cops out. And there's got to have been some bigger ordeal with that too.
Yeah, I don't think we know the full extent of that.
No.
At all. But it just proves there's like a pattern of shocking behaviour from both of them.
You can't tell me that then this Kathleen who comes along, and enters into this family, that's not causing stress in the relationship and in the family's idyllic nature.
Yeah. So there's also been a series created on Netflix. It's also called The Staircase.
Yes.
It's a dramatisation of this whole saga, and oh my god, shout out to Toni Collette because I freaking love her.
She's so good.
She is amazing. And Colin Firth plays Michael, and I think he does a spectacular job in doing so.
Although he's less repulsive than the real thing.
That's it, far less repulsive. But I think his mannerisms, the way he talks, he's really studied him and really done a good job.
Yeah. I think he's a character in himself that it would have been like probably joyous as an actor for him to take it on because there's a lot there.
There's a lot there. So Kathleen is played by Toni Collette. The boys are definitely portrayed as being problematic. Now I know it's a dramatisation of the situation, but if that has any inkling on anything, maybe...
Well, they glazed over them so much in the docuseries where it's fact, as in like it's filmed, it's live. Every time like his lawyer would say things like, well, let's not get Todd involved in that. Or, yeah, let's make sure we just touch base with Clayton and get his version of the story. And they don't want them anywhere near being on the stand giving evidence. So it's kind of, it's the non-spoken says a lot in that series that you do get what's going on here? Like kind of when you're watching it going, why are they hiding them away? But they're clearly on screen. They're there and they're present, although Todd disappears.
He disappears, but then at the end he comes back.
But only he's
he's a little bit more involved though in his appeal.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they don't want them anywhere near a court stand because they're going to get ripped to shreds.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was a comment or two by one of the boys in the docuseries around, I think it was actually Michael said it in reference to like basically that, if Clayton gets word of that, he'll bury it so that it doesn't get found. Like there was this, I guess, a portrayal of that the boys would do anything to defend their dad, and legal or illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. It goes, their characters are flawed. They're not good people.
No. And that's the one thing that of all this case, and I'll say I'm very I change my opinion on the case. The one thing I don't change my opinion on is Michael is a lying sack of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sometimes though, I think he doesn't even know he's doing it.
No, he is a compulsive liar.
Yeah, he can't help himself.
Which is clear from so there was where he went for the mayor of where he was living, but it was discovered in that process, as you do when you get into politics, people dig up dirt. I mean, as if he shouldn't have known that wouldn't happen. But that's where it's that convincing of I've said it enough times, it's true, that he lied about these medals that he got during his time in the army, his Purple Cross medals that he never received.
Yep. So they were actually his dad received them.
Not him.
And he also said that he got injured in combat when he actually just got injured in a car accident on base, and not even in the country where he said he was, where he got this sort of war injury.
And they were lies he had told to Kathleen.
Yep.
It wasn't even that was, something he used in his, his what's that word I'm trying to think of? In a campaign.
Yeah.
In his campaign, he didn't kind of just lie there and Kathleen's on the side going, hey, hang on a second, that's not true. She was under the impression that these were facts.
Yeah, so
she
when
found
that
out at the
all
same
came
time as
out,
everyone else.
yeah, so that would have created tension in their relationship for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're not, like, if he's lying about the big things, he's probably lying about the small things. So, you know, this is building up some tension in their relationship as well over time. Oh, for sure, over time. I also find, like, he does not handle, in what we see in the docuseries, he doesn't handle confrontation very well.
No.
So he's very dismissive when people approach him with an issue or with something that's going on. He's very much, oh, yeah, and brushes things off. So I could imagine that if she wanted to have this sort of open and frank conversation with him about something, he wouldn't engage with that.
No, I can see him fobbing that sort of stuff off and moving past it.
She was an incredibly intelligent woman.
Yes.
And I can't imagine she'd want to let that stuff go.
No. I agreed. And then there's the other issue that he lied about, which I believe he lied about. He says that he didn't lie about it and that Kathleen knew. But I believe elsewhere with that one in terms of his, and this is around his sexuality. So it came out fairly quickly after her death that it was found on his computer a lot of porn, but not only porn, but it was gay porn, which that's fine. But he made out as if Kathleen knew that that's what he was into. Further to that, emails were found where he was corresponding with sex workers and to set up and have relations with men outside of the marriage. So, and I mean, he says that he wasn't cheating, but he did. I think
he's adamant. He's like, it wasn't cheating because there was nothing emotional. It was just sex. Well, hello, just to me.
Yeah.
That's cheating. Like, you might not have had an emotional connection with the person, but you've had a physical and intimate relationship with them.
The only way I can come at that it wasn't cheating is if she was fully consensual in the situation and understanding of what was going on. But I don't believe she was.
And her family and friends all say the same thing.
So within the docuseries, in the same breath, basically, of him saying that she knew, there were quotes of him saying, I've never talked to a soul about it. Kathleen and I never spoke about my bisexuality. There were quotes of, we have never explicitly spoken, but she knew. What?
How?
How can those both be true?
Now, tell me this. On the night of Kathleen's death, and we'll get to how they got to this point in a second, but on the night of her death and the police arrived, they obviously wanted to secure the scene as a crime scene, even though that was even mismanaged. But
yeah.
And so what they did was they put Michael and Todd, who were in the house at the time, into his study.
Yeah.
To wait for crime scene people to come and whatever the police were doing downstairs. And during that time, didn't Michael send an email or receive an email or look at something on his computer that had to do with that escort?
Ooh, I don't remember hearing that.
Okay.
I know he deleted stuff off his computer, but that was actually nothing to do with...
Was that
night, though? It was prior to her falling down or whatever happened on the stairs.
I might be getting myself a bit mixed
up. He did delete a lot of stuff off his computer, but it was all financial related, and it was prior to her death.
Okay.
At the same day, but prior to her death and following.
So when had he had the correspondence then with the escort?
Oh, that was like the weeks building up and stuff. Like he'd been talking to him for a fair bit.
Yeah, but he was meant to meet up with him on the day that Kathleen died.
Oh, right. I didn't know that. Yeah. But Brad gave evidence at the trial, and I'm sorry, but I loved him.
Oh, I loved him too.
Oh, he was great.
He was cool.
I loved it when he called out. He said, they asked him what sort of people he has relationships with, not relationships, but meets up with. And he said about the judge, and he's got one judge. That was the best. He was in a very conservative part of America too, let's just say.
Durham County in North Carolina.
Yeah, and so, gay sex is something they do not really think is appropriate. So that was hilarious. I loved him. I thought he was great. It's come out later that he was in a really bad place at that time, which is really sad for him, and I hope that he got past that point in his life and was
he's doing well
doing well,
now.
because he was a joy.
Absolutely. A bit of light
Yeah.
in a very
And
heavy...
he was actually on the stand for the prosecution, because I think they believed, to sort of prove that, but this man's bisexual, that's so bad, that it backfired entirely, and he ended up really being a better witness for the defense. So because he really just came out, because what he did say was that in all of his email correspondence was that Michael was, saying, I really love my wife. I'm not looking for anything emotional here. So that is the truth. That's definitely what he did and what he's presented to everyone, where he loved Kathleen. This was just another part of himself that he needed to express. And part of me I get that. I think that I don't have an issue with that.
Yep.
I have an issue if his wife didn't know and that she wasn't partaking in this idea of him.
What's your gut feeling on that? My gut feeling is that she didn't know.
My gut feeling is that she didn't know. I think the fact that he said he's never spoken about it with anybody, and then there's these random family members of his coming out defending him, going, "Oh, we always knew," but he's admitted that he didn't talk to anyone about this. So
also his brother knew.
Yeah.
So, and had knew since he was a teenager.
But
he
again,
admits
did they talk about it, or did he just know that about him?
I'm not sure how he knew, but apparently that, like, Michael and Bill, I think the brother's name is, their parents knew that he was bisexual.
Really?
Yes. Yep.
In that day
and
age?
they just sort of swept it under the rug and didn't think about it and didn't talk about it. It was just something they all knew about Michael and just accepted about him and just left it at that.
I guess to a point he could be forgiven because of the way society is about these sorts of things, and his age and the era he would have been grown up in. I guess at a point I can forgive the fact of like him thinking, oh, I don't have to speak about it. I don't want to talk about it because that makes it real. But people just know this about me. And but it's kind of like, wink, wink, where we both know. But that does not mean then there's an absolute consent and understanding from the other side of that party. Like, and I can't come at that you haven't voiced this. And to know for sure what that person understands of what's going on.
That's right. Because it's one thing to marry somebody who's bisexual. I mean, I'm sure that happens every day. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
To be in a heterosexual couple where one of the people is bisexual, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you're in a monogamous relationship.
Yes.
To me, the fact that he's gone outside of that to seek sex with men, that to me isn't, that it doesn't compute to me. Like, that doesn't seem right.
And the only part of this that then makes me go, did she know, and was it the way he's saying it was? Because there's two different stories here that have been presented around her previous marriage, where her ex cheated on her and she was devastated and left the marriage. That's one story I've heard. Another story I've heard is that, yes, he did cheat, and it was horrendous because he was cheating with these young women from his from the university where he was a professor at, and like that's next level. But she was also cheating. So that presents a different picture of what she's willing to accept in a relationship. I know she left that relationship, but clearly she didn't have the standards of what was presented at times, where she does not stand for cheating whatsoever. She would never have put up with this.
Yeah.
If you put it in the light of she was also having affairs, he was having her affairs, but she got the irrits with the level of affairs he was having and has left the marriage, that's different.
Yeah.
And that gives me a little bit more of maybe I can come at the fact that she might have put up with the situation with Michael.
Yeah. I think it's also worth mentioning that Michael also cheated on his first wife, Patty, with men and women.
Yeah.
So he saw that as a different thing to just cheating on Kathleen with men.
Yes.
So he fully admits he cheated on Patty. He will not admit that of Kathleen because he only had sex with men.
Yeah. And look, I get the whole, like, it's a second marriage, they're not having children together, that there's a different need from the relationship. I get the vibe that they were still sexually active as a couple, but I can understand also just wanting that partnership in life of having someone that they clearly had a relationship where they spoke about music and the arts and all these sorts of things and had in-depth conversations, and maybe that was a need that was being met by that relationship, and then the sex being met by someone else. But again, it's got to be consensual from all parties involved, knowing about what's going on.
Yeah, agreed. I think we'll never get to the bottom of this one, but
that's it, because you can't know what Kathleen knew at this point. I mean, we can only like make guesses. So.
And I don't think, well, it's certainly never come out that she'd confided any of this in her sisters or her friends.
No.
So that to me makes me think more along the lines that she didn't know, because surely she would have told somebody or had that conversation with somebody if it was something she was struggling with.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So then,
as you said, we'll never know.
So then the thought is that, did she find out that day, and is that a motive to have, for this to have played out, that she's ended up dead? But I just don't know. I don't know if I buy that theory as a motive.
I don't. I think so. Let's say what actually happened, I guess, on that night.
Yeah.
They were having a nice dinner. Michael's recollection of the night is that they consumed a couple of bottles of wine and some champagne because they were celebrating the fact that Michael's book, was it, had been optioned for a movie.
Yes.
And so they were celebrating. Kathleen's work was a little bit volatile at the time. She worked for a company called Nortel, and she was an executive there, and they'd been laying off, was it 2/3 of their employees?
She had to lay off her supervisor the week before or something.
Yeah.
It was that severe.
Yeah. They were really cutting it down. I don't think Kathleen's head was on the chopping block. Well, not that we know of anyway. I think she
believed it was
vulnerable.
Yeah, but having said that, I kind of rule out this money issue too, because she was a very intelligent woman, very good at her job. So if the company fell apart and she did lose her job, she would have got another job.
Yeah.
Her income would not have been completely in danger. I just don't think it would have been a situation of we're completely lost, we've now lost an entire income. She would have got another job.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that they'd signed, like that Michael had signed this option for his book, a movie, whatever series or movie, whatever it was, to be made out of his book, I don't think they were financially too strapped. I mean, it came out later that they didn't have a lot of cash.
Yes. And they had massive credit card debt.
Yeah. And
so the boys.
Yeah. And they bailed. Well, a lot of their debt, though, was because they were bailing the boys out of all of these stupid shit that they were doing.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, they lived in this beautiful, beautiful home, massive like mansion. Although Michael's like, oh, it's not a mansion. It was absolutely a mansion.
You know what that house has been used for since?
Well, it was in a movie or something.
Handmaid's Tale.
Was it?
Yeah, it was one of the, I don't know if it was just external or internal as well, but definitely externally. It's Handmaid's Tale.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
It is.
Beautiful house.
Yeah.
So on the night in question, he said they'd had a couple of bottles of wine and some champagne and had some dinner, and then they went outside to have a cigarette. I think they were both smokers. Cigarette by the pool with the rest of their wine.
Yep.
It later comes to pass, though, that Kathleen's blood alcohol level wasn't entirely elevated. I think her blood alcohol content was 0.07%. So she'd had a couple, but she certainly hadn't had a bottle and a half.
If you're a seasoned drinker, I mean, tell us, Emma. when you drink a bottle and a half, would she be 0.07 or?
Look, in Australia, we can drive at 0.05.
Yeah.
I will not have more than one drink if I'm driving.
No.
So, and like I can put away a bottle. I can put away a bottle, but I wouldn't think I was competent to do anything more than wander on off to bed.
And to me, like this is late at night that this has happened, where this incident occurs. It's like
very early in the morning, wasn't it? Yeah.
So it depends on what time they started drinking, and if they've had a couple of bottles between them. So if she's had a bottle to a bottle and a half, but it's over a course of say 8 hours, then I can come at it.
That's actually really true. I hadn't thought about the time frame. In my mind, I'd sort of put it together that they'd sat down and had a couple of bottles and really were sort of and gone at it. But you're right, maybe it was from when she got home from work at 5 o'clock, and her blood alcohol concentration was taken at, I think it was like 3 o'clock the next morning. So you're absolutely right, she could have metabolized most.
I think she was trying to get to bed at like sort of 2 a.m. I think is the timeline in terms of when she's left Michael to head inside, because she had an early morning meeting on Sunday morning because of this whole issue at the company. They were having this conference call on the Sunday, so she was like, I better get to bed like at 2 a.m. I'm like, Jesus, who are these people that are like staying up this late?
I mean, 9:30 is late for me.
Oh God. Yeah. So, I mean, she could have been drinking at, say, 5 o'clock walking in from work to 2 o'clock in the morning, having sipped that entire time. 0.07, If she's a
I
seasoned
think you're
drinker, if that's what
absolutely
she
right. Yeah.
usually does on a fairly nightly basis, I don't think that that's unreasonable.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was more
You're
the
right.
fact that there was also other drugs found in her system for, other things that she was treating. So like, was it not Prozac, but
Valium.
Valium, sorry,
Yeah.
is what I was thinking of, was also in her system and things like that, which could make her unstable more so, I guess.
But again, if she's used to taking that
And
medication,
with alcohol. Which sounds as though that, from all accounts, like, and you can see it through the docuseries, they're a family who do drink. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that alcoholics, any of that sort of stuff, but they clearly were a family who had a glass of wine with dinner every night, sort of stuff,
yeah.
at least, if not more. So, I just think that's a seasoned drinker thing.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. So in going upstairs, this is Michael's version of events, I
Yeah.
guess, that Kathleen's gone inside. He's decided to stay outside for a little bit longer, finish off his drink and his cigarette. And, I think about half an hour later, he decides to go inside and go to bed, and he finds Kathleen dead. Oh, no, sorry, barely breathing at the bottom of the staircase,
Yeah.
covered in blood. Go and, if you feel up for it,
Mm.
go and Google the crime scene images. They are horrific.
Yeah, pretty
His
intense.
I find his first 911 call. So he makes 2 911 calls. The
Yeah.
first one, he says that Kathleen's breathing. The operator is trying to make sense of him. Now, who knows how anyone would react in a situation like this, but I find the intonation of his voice really interesting in that call.
Yep.
The way his voice is like, it's almost melodic in the way he's talking, and I'm like, oh, it just seems forced or something.
I have two different thoughts on that. He has been in situations, high intensity in the army. He knows what blood loss can equal. Has potentially treated people, not treated, but like been involved in incidents in the army where there's been a lot of blood loss, things like that. So would that make him calmer in some senses? But also, it's my wife. Like, does that is what infiltrating in that sense? Because also, I wonder whether him saying like she's still breathing, because it was kind of almost an afterthought in the conversation. Is that him just trying to get the ambulance there faster?
To what end?
To help her.
But if she's dead, she's dead.
True. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
So, I see what you're saying. Like, and if that was me,
Yeah.
and I was doing that with Peter, yeah, you'd say anything to get the ambulance there faster. I understand that point, but a lot of evidence comes to show that potentially there is no chance she would have been alive at that.
No, I
call.
just don't know. I don't think she would have been alive then.
No. So in the course of this phone call, the 911 operator, and I find this really...
She annoyed the crap out of me.
And she's also really fucking harsh.
Yes.
I'm like, mate, this person is obviously going through something. Okay, obviously she knows no context at this point.
But
what's
that should
actually
be part
happening.
of her training.
For sure. She gets frustrated with him because she's like, how many stairs? How many stairs? And this
Calm
is the bit,
down.
Yeah. And this
I'm
is
sorry,
the bit,
fuck off.
there's got to be, surely there's a better way to deal with people in a traumatic situation than the way she was doing it. But this is the bit that when she says to him, how many stairs, the bit that gets me, and I don't know why this is the thing, it sticks in my head the way he says this. He goes, 15 or 20, I don't know. It's the way he says that. It's really gets
because I
me.
think he's frustrated with her, which I fully get, because you just want an ambulance there.
So is it his frustration, or is it that he hadn't prepped for that?
Yeah, I know that's what some people take that as too, but I don't know. I don't feel like you can't judge someone on a 911 call.
Agreed.
Although, I mean, I know we judged a lot from the Jumbonnet one. But that was the after effect of like the background noise of the call, not the actual call itself. I just feel like you can't judge people in those moments of knowing how you're going to react, because I don't know. I know I have been told I am very calm in stressful situations like that, and I can make a call to an ambulance and be very like dun 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 dun.
Right.
And I don't think someone should be taken like it's like
I think you're absolutely right, and you don't know how you're going to react in a situation until something like that happens.
I say that when it's not been my child or someone like that I love like that. It's when it's removed.
Yeah.
Whereas in that scenario, with it being his wife and he, that And the scene, as we said, check out the images if you're up for it, because it's a lot.
It's a lot.
I can't imagine walking into that scene. If what he says is true, walking in and seeing that would be incredibly full on. Your brain would be all over the place.
Yep. Well, her brain was all over the
Well,
place. It was.
well, yeah. Yeah.
So this is the thing. So he hangs up from that first 911 call. 6 minutes later, he makes another one to check on where the ambulance is, and he says at that point she's not breathing anymore.
Yeah.
So within that 6 minute period, his position is that she passed in that time.
Yeah. But we might actually, I'm just looking at the time, we might have to make this a two-parter.
I'm not surprised.
We are so nowhere near the end of this because we literally only just got her at the end of the stairs. So, and there's so much more for us to delve into, which most people would look at us, like look at that and just kind of go, what more can there be?
Stay tuned. So please, everyone, join us next week for part 2 of The Staircase, where we really get into the theories and what happened with Kathleen, and then all of the stuff that came after it, because that's a really interesting story as well. Please don't forget to like this podcast on your podcast player. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, we would really, really appreciate it if you could, because it really, really helps us in getting more and more people to listen. And the more people who listen, the better it is for us to sort of get this show out to you every week.
Absolutely. And subscribing will make sure that you come back to us for part 2 of The Staircase.
That's it. And keep an eye on our social media as well. We're on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok at Two Crime Besties.
And now on YouTube. Oh.
It's the videos on YouTube. Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. All right. We'll see everyone next week.
Shall we leave everyone on a to be continued? Hoot, hoot. See ya.
Bye.